your First Alert weather with Chief Meteorologist Stephen Bowers.
All right, we've got some warming on the way. We've been slowly warming this week. It's going to pick up tomorrow and into Friday with highs in the upper 80s and lower 90s. And we'll even be in the upper 80s on Saturday, even with a little bit of cooling. And then Sunday turns a little bit cooler. Now that Friday 91, that would be the first time we've made it to 90 degrees since September the 30th, so nearly 8 months ago. It's been a while. That would also be the warmest day of the year so far. But this weekend does offer some limited cooling. Now Saturday will still be in the upper 80s. There's the Saturday schedule for the JUCO World Series. First game is at 9 o'clock, and you see it's in the 70s in the morning, and then we warm into the 80s in the afternoon. Don't forget lots of sunscreen and reapply frequently if you're going to be out there at the JUCO World Series. And then we have a Game 5 at 10 a.m. Sunday. Now, Games 6 and 7 at 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock on Sunday. These will feature teams from Saturday. So the two teams that lose Games 1 and 2 will play at 2 o'clock. And then the two teams that lose Games 3 and 4 will play at 7 o'clock with temperatures right around 80 degrees around 2 o'clock and then warming toward the lower 80s later on in the day. So we've got sunshine on the way, plenty of it, hardly any clouds to be found, means that we don't even have any rain around. And typically our weather comes from the west. There's just not a whole lot happening to the west. What you don't see on the satellite and the radar right now, though, is a weak stationary front that's draped across Colorado and extends down to southern Utah. This is one of the reasons we've had some gusty wind this afternoon, too. When we have a stationary front around, it's like an elongated area of low pressure and kind of like a vacuum cleaner. It just kind of sucks in air from all around, and that kicks up the wind a little bit. This high pressure to the south, this is going to be a big player here. Now, this is more appropriately a quasi-stationary front because what's going to happen is this is actually going to drift to the south tonight. So it briefly becomes a cold front, stalls out again tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow afternoon, that high pressure is going to shove it back to the north and east, and that means it's a weak warm front that again stalls out along the front range tomorrow afternoon. I put the winds on here so you can see that southwesterly wind flow coming in behind that front as it passes. Now that southwesterly wind flow is going to help to boost the temperatures toward 90 degrees. Now we get to Friday, and this cold front approaches from the northwest here. Ahead of it, we get a little bit more of a warm surge, and that's why I expect that Friday could be more likely to break 90 degrees than Thursday, and then behind that cold front will turn a little cooler over the weekend. Not cold, just a little cooler compared to where we will be for our Thursday and Friday. Tomorrow the sun is out. It's going to be a beautiful day, and we'll warm quickly through the 50s and 60s, right up to the 70s by midday, and then into the middle and upper 80s we go tomorrow afternoon. And a couple of backyard thermometers could touch 90 degrees around Grand Junction. Right now we've got beautiful sun overhead. 81 degrees is the temperature right now at the Grand Junction Airport. That's the high temperature for the day also. 48 was the low this morning, and that's within a degree or two of where we should be for this time of year. This evening cools toward 80 degrees by 7 o'clock and then 77 by 8 o'clock. Then the sun sets and we'll cool a little faster down to 72. We go by 9 o'clock, and we can have a few passing clouds, but more clearing than anything. Lows by morning will be near 52 at Grand Junction, but low to mid 40s are common elsewhere. Maybe you briefly cool to the 30s around Cortez, and then tomorrow we're back up toward 90 in Delta more likely, and then in Grand Junction I'm calling it 89, but again some backyard thermometers may manage to touch 90 degrees, and then we're looking at low to mid 90s elsewhere with some 70s up in the higher elevations. Then Friday steps up to 91 degrees, and then it's upper 80s on Saturday. We'll call it 83 on Sunday, but that's a brief and short-lived cooling as middle and upper 80s will return starting Monday. In Delta, expect 85 degrees both tomorrow and Friday, and then a slightly cooler 83 on Saturday. Sunday is cooler still at 78 degrees, I should say, but then low to mid 80s are in the forecast from Monday through Wednesday of next week. In Delta, it's 90 degrees tomorrow, 91 degrees on Friday, and then we start cooling on Saturday, but we'll still be at a warm 88 degrees. Sunday's going to be at 83, and then we're back into the middle and upper 80s, warming toward 90 next week. Cortez, it's middle 80s for your Thursday and Friday, and then upper 70s to lower 80s for Saturday and Sunday.